All right, we should be live now. Everyone should be able to see us. Give us a thumbs up, comment in the chat. There we go. Tech difficulty? No, it should be on. Give me a second. There we go. We are live. Everyone should be able to see me now. Give us a thumbs up in the chat if you can see us. We've got a big session planned today all the way from Liverpool near Anfield Stadium. I'm actually 5 minutes from there, so not too far away, everyone. I'm excited, pumped. I've got a heap to get through today. So, guys, I am working off one screen, so just be mindful of that. My stuff is still in storage at the moment. Actually, it's on a plane all the way across. It's in Vancouver at the moment in Canada. All the way from Australia to Canada, back to the UK. But I've got a heap to get through today, so I want to pump that out as soon as possible. Awesome, you guys can hear me, can see the chat. I've got the chat open here on my phone, so things are running smooth. Seds will be proud that I haven't had no tech issues this morning. Have been well prepared. Been up since 6:30. Had a whole heap of stuff I went through last night with you, with everything just to get prepared for this. So I'm pretty G'd up. I'm pretty excited. First thing I wanted to start with, and I think this is pretty fitting for the entire situation, right? Is first thing I want to show you guys something. We've got here. The first thing I wanted to cover is the advice. Is everyone feeling like this right now? I want to see if this pops up. I just want to make sure everything is running smoothly. You guys should be able to see my screen now. So just give me a thumbs up, smash that comment, smash those likes. I need to make sure that everything is coming through smoothly. There is a waiting for the transition focus here on my phone, but you guys should be able to see my screen now. Yep, perfect. Who here is feeling like this? Altcoin season for the 420th time this year, still down 50%. I think this can resonate with so many people right now in the crypto space. And I just found this funny. I was doing some research yesterday. This popped up on my feed, and I figured, you know what, this is probably the most fitting way at the moment to start this stream. So if you're feeling like this, rest assured, I think 99% of crypto communities, people in crypto right now are thinking, what the hell is going on? Where's my altcoin season I was speaking about? But that's what I want to cover today. I want us to get right down into the weeds about what the hell is going on at the moment and what could be potentially holding back the market and seeing these dramatic pullbacks. So right now, guys, we're going to get straight into it. So the first thing I wanted to cover off is the good positive news. So you can see here, I've labeled this tab accumulation. So what happened over the last 24 hours? There is a new ETF coming out signaled by BlackRock. So they've filed for a Bitcoin premium income ETF. What this means, guys, is that basically people can have access to so-called a Bitcoin ETF, but not actually be subjected to the volatility of crypto. So they're actually making an income from the yield. So that could be the processing fees. It could be the appreciational value, the interest that people are earning on staking, that sort of stuff. So the Bitcoin premium income ETF will also incentivize, in my opinion, more people to come into the market that may be going, you know what, crypto's a little bit volatile, so I'm a little bit scared, but hey, I can have some skin in the game and actually not have to own any Bitcoin itself. So this one here for me, when I saw this last night, again, mass adoption further is coming. BlackRock's a $13 trillion company, right? They're not obviously going to tip all that into crypto, but this is something to be aware of because, again, this here, guys, is just the fact of more institutional adoption. And this is the thing I wanted to cover first because we continue to see this. Now, the easiest way to understand this, and not like I was saying, the new ETF aims to generate income via Bitcoin-related premiums, targeting yield-focused investors rather than pure price exposure. I think for new people coming into crypto, you've got big, say even mum and dads that have large superannuation funds or 401ks, sorry. They're looking at this and going, hey, I can have some skin in the game and actually make some money out of this and generate an income. I know me personally, when I'm talking like your stock market, right? I want to get income from that. So I want to have high dividend stocks. This is an opportunity for that with Bitcoin because I think this here is probably a big one to focus on. The other one here, Again, just going through BlackRock, you can see the dude there. Again, I just think this is a really big adoption period for that piece. And the other one came out and launched yesterday was $1.5 trillion. Morgan Stanley just announced to launch a new Bitcoin and crypto allocation strategy for their clients. So this is the funny fact, and this is why I wanted to kick off with this piece in particular, is we're seeing all this bullish news come out, but the market has still been tanking. Now, I want to dive deep into why I think personally that is, what I think is actually having a detrimental effect on the crypto space at the moment, because a lot of people, and even myself, at the start of this week, I was thinking, look, we've got a couple of good setups on the cards here. I do feel there's a couple of order ranges. I'll dive into those charts in a little while. But ultimately, I figured, you know what, we're probably going to have a reasonable week. We got down into it, and I was explaining to my team yesterday, I cut a lot of my positions short because I'm like, things aren't looking good for the week after we started to dive deep and we weren't getting those initial moves. So I want to jump into where we're going to next in terms of why we're potentially dropping down dramatically right now. And there's a lot of fundamental news that is happening that I think a lot of people aren't taking into consideration. And despite all this bullish activity and market announcements, you know, $1 trillion, billion-dollar companies buying up. Who here, and smash the like button, tell me in the comments, who here is going, what the hell is going on? We have all this mass adoption happening right now. However, in the grand scheme of things, we keep seeing price come down. If you're feeling like that and thinking, what the hell? Why does this keep happening? Rest assured, I'm probably in the same boat with you. And rest assured, probably 90% of the crypto community is as well. But I think there is valid reasons to where we are right now. I spoke about this on my live call for the last couple of weeks, understanding the market macro dynamics. So I want to jump straight into that. So guys, firstly, we're going to go into what I call the war newsroom. Last night, I don't know if many people saw this, but this is a big one. There was a break in Pentagon orders, Secretary Emergency meeting. So the US has just recently called in all of the highest US generals and admirals from across the globe to rush to Virginia for an emergency meeting. I don't think I've ever personally seen this in my lifetime, where the US has called every single general across the world into one office to have an open conversation. This here for me stood out yesterday, and it happened at about 4 my time. It was probably about midnight-ish, and all of a sudden we just saw like another 2% drop on Bitcoin. So a lot of fear in the market at the moment around the war element. I wanted to cover this because it's going to stem into where we're going with next with the macro outlook. But you're looking here, Justin, Russia says war with NATO will break out if NATO shoots down a Russian aircraft. So I don't know if you guys knew this as well. Russian aircrafts were testing the boundaries of Alaska yesterday, right? So they're flying into US military space. So after that happened, the US deployed fighter jets. Now, this could all be smoke and mirrors. You know, we're testing the elements of where Donald Trump's power is at against Putin and the whole rest of it. But there is a lot going on in this space at the moment. So I do suggest a lot of people keep an eye on it. Do I think we're going into World War III all of a sudden? No, I do not think nuclear bombs are going to kick off. I'm not saying that at all. And I'm not going to go down that route of just hypotheticals. But I think all this news is adding up into where we're going with things at the moment. And the markets weigh in a lot of skepticism. They weigh in a lot of uncertainty as well. And right now, when you've got war news, you've got the market news as well that I'm going to show you guys. It actually makes a bit of sense about what's going on. And a lot of people have been excited about, you know, interest rates are coming down, so M2 money supply is going to go up. And it is, but those sort of things have an effect, and they have an effect over time. So there's one thing I want to cover, right, is it's how big it can get into this space, right, and how deep you can sort of run into it. And I wanted to cover off realistically today where I'm looking at from a macro perspective. I've also got some big altcoins I want to share. I've got some news about where whales are purchasing as well. I'll dive deep into that one. I've got 2 new altcoins that we're going to go through. And of course, you guys know what we're going to cover off right at the end. So smash that in there as well. You know, the one thing that we're going to cover, Seds isn't on this call, so we can dive deep into this one and have a chat about it. But the big one I do want to focus on, right, is, and just make sure my screen switches over for you all, is now I want to cover off into the macro piece of things. So moving across here, the first thing I did want to cover, right, is speaking about economic data. So last night it came out that the US GDP growth for Q2 was up, right? I think it was about 3.5%, 3.9% off the top of my head. I can't remember. But the US GDP growth was up. Jobless claims came in at its lowest level since July as well. So what that means is that more people are employed as well. Now, the economy is going well overall. Now, when you talk about the economy going really, really well, and people are also shouting from the rooftops, interest rate cuts, the two and two don't go together. And this is what I think we need to be really open and honest about for the guys that are following us and we do talk about this on a weekly basis. Interest rates can have a good effect, but they have a good effect in a period of time, right? Short-term wise, interest rates are always representing economic stress. So to think that, hey, the economy is all dandy and things are just going to all of a sudden go up when interest rates drop, not always the case. What it does mean is it means economic stress. It means contractionary policy was too tight, meaning when interest rates were up. So now we have to loosen the reins, essentially, give people more cash flow so then they can start to put their money into other things. Now, I was explaining this last week, and I was talking about the fact that if you do give people this opportunity to have a little bit more money in their pockets, the first thing they're probably not doing is just dumping it all in the stock market, dumping it all into crypto. They're probably going to pay off for some of their debts, have a little bit of relief, enjoy some of those funds before they actually go into a space and actually spending it. So I think that's really important to take note of. And then you've got to remember in 6 to 12 months time, that is when the true effect, especially probably more the 6-month time range, is going to have an effect on the overall market. You've got to think of it from two sides of the coin. When you rise interest rates, it doesn't mean necessarily that all of a sudden that people are going to start holding their cash and not spending. Things will come a little bit more expensive, but over time, they'll come to realize, hey, I've got to pull things back. It's the same deal when you're talking about open-end policy, where you're opening up interest rates and reducing the rates so people can have more money in their pocket. So really something to take note of. Now, going into this, what I want to go through here, you guys, is if the economy is doing really well, jobless claims are coming at their lowest level, what that means is it's bullish for the economy, bearish for rate cuts. Now, people are going to come and go, rate cuts still expected in October. Me personally, I'm thinking rate cuts aren't coming in October. I think you're probably looking at more towards the back end of the year to see how things go through. Coming into December, the Fed might come in and go, hey, or even late November, hey, you know what? Hey, we'll drop interest rates a little bit more, give people that Christmas optimism. But right now, I'm not overly anticipating that there's going to be any big rate announcements over the next month. Now, the next thing to take note of here is tonight we have, my time today, 1:30 p.m., but that'll be about, I'm pretty sure that's about 11:30 or 10:30 p.m. for the guys in Australia across the eastern seaboard. You've got the core PCE price index. This is a big indicator, right? This here will further add pressure on whether or not interest rates come down or interest rates stay basically neutral. So guys, take note of this tonight because this is what the Fed ultimately looks at from an inflation perspective. This for them is the true piece of the puzzle versus just standard CPI data that just shows you things are either going up or down. The core PCE takes into consideration hypothetically, if beef goes too expensive and people start buying more chicken, that sort of elevates and has like a balancing curve, right? So we've got to understand that. Focus on this one tonight. 1:30 p.m. I'm sort of out at the market at the moment. I'm just sort of watching. I've got a lot of key levels. But man, a lot of things last night, and I'm going to go through this shortly, and I'll give you guys a little example just quickly. I'll show you something here on Solana right now. I've been monitoring this one really closely. Last night, we actually broke below this support level. So you can see this here. This level here has been quite a strong level of support for Solana. We're going to dive deeper into this, but you can see here on the daily time frame, we're actually starting to put in lower lows when you look compared to the previous market structure, and we're actually closing below the resistance point of 196. So just speaking about Solana for the time being while we are on it, I'm really looking at this big zone here. You can see an order zone of 60 million transactions going through here and the 200 EMA. It would not surprise me if we see $180 Solana, especially if the PCE data comes in and it's not in the favor of cutting interest rates or even in the favor of demonstrating the fact that, hey, the economy is in more stress, so we need to actually lower rates and boost that money supply as well. This here is a big one. We've had massive red candles, and this here is where I'm really looking at a target. If we hit that 106 on Bitcoin, which I'm going to cover in a little while, that is a big piece of the puzzle that we really need to get through today. So guys, just taking note of this, right? I wanted to read this section here. So the market's current state appears to be in a recalibration phase. That might lay the groundwork for a rebound, with some experts pointing to potential gains in Q4 2025 due to regulatory clarity, institutional adoption, macroeconomic easing. However, the bear market risk persists if macro and regulatory conditions worsen. What this is saying, guys, is there's been a lot of uncertainty in the grand scheme of things, right? Things are still in a section at the moment where who knows if we got if interest rates are actually going to come down. You know, you've got war news coming out. You've got a whole bunch of stuff. You've got gold that is still pumping all-time highs. I mean, if people were really excited about where and having a risk-on mentality, gold wouldn't be pumping, in my opinion, to all-time highs right at this point in time, because it is essentially a safe haven. And the crypto market in itself, Bitcoin has performed exceptionally well. Despite these recent pullbacks, Bitcoin is still punching above 100K, which is absolutely phenomenal in itself. But there is still a lot of hesitation in the grand scheme of things, and we can see this playing out on the charts. You can see how there is a lot of news around liquidations going on at the moment, and then you've got this macroeconomic outlook that's going, a little bit of uncertainty is still in play, and that creates that risk off environment. We want to see a massive risk on environment. That's what I'm looking for. I want to wake up and just go, you know what, I've made 10 grand overnight. But look, these things happen, but when it's easy, man, it just makes it so much more fun. You wake up, everything's buzzing. But look, it is what it is. We're still making money, which is the main thing. I did want to give a shout out. I'm going to use this special moment right now to give a shout out. One of our members yesterday sent me a message. I'm not going to name him on this particular call. Sent me a message. I can show you guys the screenshots on here. I was talking about it yesterday. I was excited. But one of the gentlemen pumped in $50,000 in profit this month alone. Or correct me if I'm wrong. You can write in the chat if you want. This week, I got that message. I was absolutely over the moon. Smile right across the face. I'll try and get that up for you guys. Actually, give me 1 second. I'm gonna bring this up just to prove to the fact. Jump into my Facebook here. You guys will see this. Well, that's an old image right there. You can see our Empire Premium chat here. I'll bring this up for a quick moment. But you will see, I'm going to bring this up. I have to do it. I'm pretty excited about this one. Where are we? All the pin messages. Let me scroll up here. This is a massive one. Adrit has posted it. Guys, you can see this 11,000, 12, it was rounded up to 12,000 USD. Absolutely massive. Another 6,000 on Pepe. You can see another $1,000 on Solana. And another 11,000 USD on Link. So that's 50,000 Australian dollars for those that are on the call. Now, guys, give that a shout. Give that a smash in there. That is absolutely phenomenal. Give that big one a love hearts. That is absolutely huge. I'm so proud of him. Man, this thing is absolutely massive. Make sure you guys can see this. I'm not sharing the screen. I'm going to show you guys this one. You should be able to see this now. Oh, whoop, my screen isn't changing over. Give me 1 second, guys. There we go. Sorry. So you'll be able to see these screenshots. They're coming through now, guys. $12,000 USDT. Pepe, you got 6,000, another 1,000 on Solana, and another 11,500 pretty much on Link USDT. Now, guys, what you don't realize, and you may have not picked this up, these are all short positions. This is one of the big, powerful pieces of understanding how to trade markets both directions, is you've got the market moving in essentially both directions. And this gentleman here capitalized on it phenomenally. So I expect to see him in Europe very, very soon with me, and we're going to have some drinks. We're going to celebrate absolute phenomenal trades. Past member of our mentorship community and a long-term member of Empire, absolutely killed it. So I just wanted to give a special shout out to that one there before we keep going. Now, wanted to go into, just before we get into the whale purchases, if people are feeling a little bit like what the hell has gone on over the last couple of days, right? And I'm just taking the notes here, making sure my screen is still coming through, which is great. The big one here is we just had, and this was yesterday, I was going through this, it was $230 million liquidated from the cryptocurrency market in 30 minutes. 30 minutes, there was $250 million. That is absolutely insane, right? But this is where it gets even more interesting. We jump over to the next one here. Bitcoin had two of its three biggest liquidation events of 2025 in the last 4 days. Now, guys, if you put that into perspective, you had $2.75 billion in long liquidation leverage has been wiped out. Now, I'm just that baffles me. I mean, these things happen, but two of the three biggest liquidation events in one single month, that just shows you how much optimism was in the crypto market after those rate cuts came into play. And market makers said, nope, sorry, boom. We're moving the market in the opposite direction. And we've seen this happen a lot over the recent times. I want to show you guys this on Bitcoin just for this moment. We're going to dive straight into Bitcoin here for a second. Now, you can see here, and I use these order zones quite religiously, and people know me for using these, and they represent where all the total transactions are taking place. But right now, where we're sitting on Bitcoin is a very, very big, significant level of support. Because if we start to crack below and actually hold below this level, anything between this period here that has taken effect all the way down to 87K can be potentially into play. Why I'm representing that is you can see that as soon as price has essentially gone into this area, it's fair game across this entire range. So you can see I've actually got an alert here set at around the 106K mark for good measure, because what I'm expecting right now is if that PCE data doesn't come in where we're expecting, we could see a further big sell-off across the crypto market. And where I'm looking for a potential pickup and essentially that wick below support to take up that liquidity is down here, that 113 and that 200 EMA. So that green one there is the 200 EMA. So that's what I'm watching for at the moment on Bitcoin. To keep it really simple, this is where I'm expecting price to essentially get picked up from if we do have that really bad data today. I'll show you guys a little bit of a thing that I do here. I'll zoom in for you all. But see here now how price is actually trapped below the 786, signaling that selling pressure is somewhat in control. And you can see we're actually closing within this order zone. So the way I look at these order zones is once we get trapped within it, it actually takes a lot of momentum to actually push the price back out. And if we get trapped here and we start to close below here on the 4-hour time frames, then that will start to give me that early indication that we may actually see that 106. Now, I know Carlin will be in the chat right now going, hey, been telling you guys 106 is coming, 106 is coming. Man, I was looking at this. I was looking at this potential break. We got the break. We come back down. As soon as we cracked below that neckline, it was a whole different ball game. And I'm looking at this level here as the real critical level of support. If price starts to crack below there, then it's not looking to crash out, in my opinion. But I am looking to see if this gives Bitcoin the lifeline that it needs around that 113 fib level and the 200 EMA. So that is a big piece of the puzzle right now. Now, jumping through, I want to get into some of the big stuff that I've got lined up. So I'm going to go into essentially where I'm seeing altcoins being purchased at the moment, which ones, and I want to chart those up for you. But before I do that, please make sure you're liking like this message, like the stream. This really helps us to get the word out there for Empire, helps build the momentum within the YouTube channel as well. I mean, we've had a great month on YouTube. We've about another 50 subscribers, so thank you for everyone that is supporting us. The video content is getting reached out there, so things are building momentum, but we do this for everyone. We want to bring you guys the value every single Friday to get you guys wrapped up for the week, but also you don't want to get sucked in over the weekend when you've got all this random manipulation taking place. You know, a lot of people get into trades on the weekend, but on me personally, I sort of take a step back. I let the market do its thing. Come Monday and late Sunday evening, we always see that crazy volatility on the ends of the weekly candle. Now, I did just want to touch base. I want to show you guys what the weekly is looking at the moment because it isn't looking great. So you can see here, guys, we've got this big weekly bearish engulfing. Ultimately, an evening star taking effect right now. That for me is not a great sign on the weekly. It does signal the fact that there is a lot of bearish momentum at the moment. And the other thing that you can see is these long wicks to the top. So you can see sellers have definitely stepped in. Sellers are definitely in control at the moment. This level here that we're just talking about is really a big critical factor. Maybe we come back under $100,000. I don't think there's going to be a lot of people happy about that, but you can see there is a big order zone sitting there at 100,500 if you guys want to mark that one out. Because if we look back over the history effect here, you can see that Bitcoin loves to come back to what is the 50 EMA on the weekly time frame. And I think this really shows a lot of perspective for a lot of people that have been really optimistic about where things are at, right? You look at this, we are still ultimately in an uptrend when you look at it from a weekly time frame. You can see price here bouncing off the 50 EMA, bouncing off the 50 EMA, plus with a big order zone, bouncing off the 50 EMA. And you can see we're still overextended from that piece there. So who knows, does this sort of start to play catch up, or does this candle hit straight below and hit us down at just under that 100K mark into this order zone? I mean, these order zones here, the guys know on my live calls, I absolutely love them and I treat them with the utmost respect. So, hey, for good measure, I'm going to be setting an alert at 101K, just in that midpoint range of that order zone to give me a notification either on my phone or on the laptop when I am on here. If price hits into that level, it's something I need to be conscious of. So that on there is an absolute big one. Now, guys, I'm going to jump into those altcoins I want to show you. I want to talk to you about some whale purchases that I've been monitoring, some research that I've been doing. Ultimately, I've got two amazing altcoins that I also want to share with you guys. These two here, I'm actually quite intrigued with. One has already raised over 26 million US dollars in its pre-sale that just recently came out. So I want to show you guys that one. So make sure you stay tuned. I'm going to show you that very, very shortly. The other one is still relatively new, but a real big gamify aspect. Now, this is the part that I'm quite optimistic about because I was looking at the games that they're going across, and it's quite interesting. How many times you've been like, you want to play a game with a friend, you have a bit of a laugh. This one here allows you to stake your tokens in the game. So essentially, say I want to play an online pool game or online chess or some sort of game with a friend, I can actually go, you know what, I'm going to put 100 tokens on this. He might put 100 tokens and whoever wins gets the pool. Also, at the same time, what this does is it actually partners you with people around the world so you can play against them. And you're not playing against bots or anything like that, but you're actually staking your tokens and you actually make some extra money or have a laugh and go against people and go, you know what? I trust myself, I'm going to whack 50 tokens on here and let's see who I match up with around the world and have a fun game with them. So I really like that aspect. I actually want to show you guys that one very soon. But the first thing I want to wrap your head around is the whale purchases. So we're going to jump straight into this one, making sure you guys can see my screen still. That is all going well. The stream is running perfectly. Wait till you guys see the place that I'm moving into. That is going to be, it's absolutely insane. You're going to have a full office decked out there and it looks absolutely amazing. So guys, the first one I want to cover is the top 3 altcoins whales are buying right now. Now, this one here just came out the other day, and this is an interesting fact because there's a couple tokens here that I've ultimately been monitoring as well. And notice that in some circumstances, these coins are actually been pumping a hell of a lot or holding their strong support levels. So first one I want to cover is XRP. So XRP is at the moment a single 30 million XRP purchases in the last 24 hours. Strong institutional interest in XRP. So this is a really interesting one at the moment. XRP was bouncing off a really significant level, holding a strong level of support. I'm going to show you guys the chart on this right now. So XRP, again, continues to hold the spotlight, and we know it is going to. It is still one of the most sought after cryptocurrencies. Despite what everyone thinks about it, it is still performing relatively well. Now, this is where it gets a little bit crazy. This is the part I want to show you guys. So during the week, we were talking about this midpoint range, and I was showing everyone here, we had this 7.5% rise on XRP, and this played out perfectly. You can see this here. So this is also played out. Now, what we had here is you can see trapped again below the 50 EMA, and this is why I'm very conscious of the fact at the moment when I'm trading. It's when can I get out of the market? Ultimately, having a very strong exit strategy at the same time as I have that entry strategy. because the market is so highly volatile, I want to make sure I'm getting the exposure, but I'm also getting out of the market to actually lock in some profits. Because the last thing I want to happen is, say hypothetically, this, we'll say the bull run, because everyone wants to talk about bull run, bear markets, altcoin runs, etc. Is if this does flip, I don't want to be holding any bags. So guys know I don't really hold many bags at all, and I trade a lot of leverage. The big thing here with XRP now is that probably came from that accumulation pump that we were just talking about, right? You can see that was on Wednesday 24th. That article came out Wednesday 24th. So that was a 7.5% move. However, you can see now where XRP is actually cracked below this support level, is currently failing to reclaim that level right now. And ultimately, I'm looking at XRP to probably come back towards that $2.50 mark, which is also the 618 Fibonacci level. Again, the key, which is a critical level where price loves to retrace towards. But then ultimately as well, the 200 EMA. So if I'm looking at this, guys, and I'm looking at, hey, is there an opportunity? Mate, that is a 6.5% move. I'm probably going to look for a short position on that one if it does continue to play the way it is. But that there, I wanted to cover just on XRP at the moment. I'm going to look at the coin in the article, show you guys the chart, look at what I'm potentially looking at. But this is from an analysis perspective. We had the run to the top side, then probably going to come take out this bottom liquidity as well. And we'll see here on the 4 hours, see if there's any order zones sitting down below there to see if it coincides. But you can see here, we do have one at the moment. 1.92 billion XRP token transactions headed in within that area. So look, has to crack that point first before we get further down, but that is ultimately what I'm seeing at this current point. Now, next big altcoin, Chainlink. We know Chainlink has had big accumulations over the last couple of weeks. You can see here attracting whales with over 800,000 Link purchases recently and 5.5 million Link removed from exchanges. So people are hoarding their Link, right? You can see the institutional confidence in Chainlink for long-term DeFi growth. We've been monitoring this one. We've been seeing this happen on Link as well. So show you guys a Link chart right now. And guys, don't forget, smash that like button for us. You know, we want to get this content out to as many people as possible. We want to help you guys, ultimately showing you guys what we're looking at, and also just going through some of the big fundamental and macro news as well. Now, I'm going to keep this in the daily time frame for a lot of people, but you can see we had a lot of growth on Link, and Link has done extremely well from the bottom here of $10, up 134%. This is the fact of the matter where people get caught up, you know, alt season, alt season, alt season. But what do we see here? We see that the Link in itself has moved up 130%. People want that more, that more, that more. And I've made a reel about this the other day. You know, I had a token that went up 750%. I took profit on that, made myself about 10K AUD. And that was on a highly volatile meme coin. I actually brought back into that recently. I'll tell you guys at the end what it is. But that one there, it's like, hey, it pumped 700%. Learn to take profit, learn to be happy. If you're constantly holding bags, you're ultimately not going to make anything. I can't stress that enough. But right now, Link has broken that support level as well, similar to what we're seeing on XRP. So you can see, guys, at the moment, we've got a common narrative taking place. A lot of support levels on tokens. We just saw on Solana, we just saw it on XRP. We now see it on a Link have ultimately broken. You can see on Link, the next big level is $15, with the 200 EMA probably being the first stopper. I'm actually going to set an alert right now at that 200 EMA at $18.92, just to sort of monitor that piece. And like I said, I'm not going to buy in here at the moment in a hope that we go back up. Why? Because ultimately we're buying into the resistance point, and I don't want to buy into the resistance point at all. So we're going to keep monitoring Link, but with Link in itself, again, that $18 mark or that $16 would not surprise me, especially with what's coming out tonight as well. So they've got to monitor that one. Next big one is AVAX. I'm going to show you guys something with AVAX happening at the moment as well. It's got in here as well, but Hive Miners is investing $550 million into AVAX, right? Now, that's not just directly into AVAX, but it's overall AVAX ecosystem in itself. But AVAX has been performing quite well and had some really big pushes recently. So guys, be mindful of AVAX. I'll show you guys on the chart what that looks like right now. Because this one here, I've been monitoring it, and I've got a little bit of AVAX, very small. Also own one of the NFTs on the AVAX network as well. Thank you to one of our coaches for pointing that one in our direction. Now, I'll show you guys here. AVAX, So had a really strong pump, and I'll show you guys, I'll keep this really, really simple for you all. I'll remove some of these drawings just to keep it really, really basic. But AVAX, you can see it here, had an accumulation range taking effect, right? You can see that between these zones here, right? You can see how the price within AVAX basically pumped 41% off the bottom of the range, was then accumulating. And you can see this here, right? We've got a nice accumulation phase taking effect. You can see the higher lows performing off the order zone with the EMA cross. You had that ultimately big pump straight out of AVAX. Now, over that course of that week when that news was breaking out, you can see what's happened here. AVAX has essentially pumped off the breakout another 25% and ultimately retraced. Now, this is the piece where if I'm looking at tokens overall right now, and you take into consideration where XRP is, where Solana is at the moment, where we were just looking at on Link, they've broken those support levels. But if you look at AVAX right now, with the bullish news that has come out and what's actually happening, you can see here that we had that big breakout. Now, ultimately, we've got this big retest that's at play. So I'm really interested to see what happens at this point, because if I can snag a decent entry off here, and you can see I've already got this alert here set at $26, just in case we get that deep pull in from AVAX. But ultimately, this range here, and we'll see it here, can act as a catalyst to hold up. So I want to watch this point right now and see if we do get anything that might signal the fact that we might get a bounce off this point. I'm actually just going to whack on my momentum indicator just to have a look here. I'm using the CCI, and you can see we are starting to get a bit of bullish momentum kick in, but ultimately holding below the 200 EMA. If this can get a deep retracement, I might be looking at it, but you can see here, this is where I would be considering taking profit and not going, hey, I hope I get a moon bag here, because there is order zone sitting above, and you can see it's both there on the 4-hour and the daily, and you can see the selling pressure that comes in at that $36 mark, represented by that big red buying, big selling pressure bar. So AVAX is one to watch at the moment, and one that I'm really, really focused on, especially with the big macro news coming out. That is definitely what I'm considering. Now, going into the next piece, crypto whales. Now, this one here came out earlier in the week, so I just wanted to show you guys this one. Not going to spend too much time on it, but did want to cover it off, right? We had Chainlink represented here again. So that one there, again, good confluence between the two articles. Chronos was the other one. So Crow tokens. This one here is an interesting one. I want to show you guys this one because this one here had a lot of FOMO behind it. I said to the team, look, pause, don't FOMO. This thing he's overextended something crazy. This thing has pulled back dramatically. So I want to show you guys where this one is at. But before we do that, the other one is Toncoin. Toncoin isn't one that I really focus on, so I'm not going to spend too much time on this. But just to give you guys a bit of insight, it has been one that has been a bit of focus on at the moment as well, with Ton tokens being scooped up. So I want to show you guys this one. Kronos here, give me 1 second. I'm going to find that for you guys. Here we are. Crow. Yes, where did it go? There we are. So you can see this. This is the interesting one. So this is where a lot of people started to get a lot of FOMO with Crow tokens, right? The crypto.com token, right? So you can see it here. I was waiting for this retracement to take effect. Ultimately had no indication that this thing was going to hold in any shape or form. So I ultimately did not buy into this in the end, but it was something that I was monitoring from a price retracement perspective. This had a massive pump, right? Absolutely huge. And I was monitoring this level from the base of this current run. Now, looking at this token right now, you can see we had a massive accumulation phase down the bottom, and that sort of is all played out now. But you can see cracked back below the resistance point, and ultimately, after what was a 150% pump, has now dropped back down to about 50%. So we've had a massive wipe off on this. Now, this is the ultimate fact of not FOMOing into tokens and sort of just taking a step back, pausing and saying, hey, where could these things potentially go to? We've had a big breakout, but ultimately you're always going to get that pullback, right? This is crypto. Things just don't go up forever. We see this take effect so many times. And the next big one, guys, that has been a lot of news at the moment is the OG meme coin. Now, what do people think this means for the overall crypto space, right? Dogecoin has got its very own ETF. Now, I'm very much the person that automatically an ETF comes out, it doesn't mean that oh my God, this thing's going to rocket. We've seen this take effect for far too long now. ETFs come out, the whole narrative plays out, everyone gets really excited, and you don't get that immediate pump. It just doesn't happen. People have to start to learn about it. Now, looking at this, I look at this from a perspective of not that Dogecoin price ultimately has to pump because of this. The way I look at this is this opens the door for big adoption, right? This opens the door for the fact of if a dog token like Doge can get its own ETF, what does that mean for the rest of the crypto space? I want to show in the comments, who thinks this is a good idea? Who thinks this is a laughable piece for crypto? And ultimately, does anyone think that this adds any value whatsoever? Because the way I look at this is not from the price point of Dogecoin, I look at this from the doors that it opens and continuously looking at the macroeconomic and institutional adoption that is coming to the crypto space through tokens like Dogecoin that has a meme associated to it. So who here is watching this one right now? If anyone owes some Dogecoin, like the group. I want to see who owning some Dogecoin right now. I personally don't. I trade this token. I've had some fun with this token. Also had some despairing moments with this token as well with the high volatility. But ultimately, just take note of this one because this here again, I'm optimistic to the fact that this actually has gone through, and then at the same time, what it has an effect on the overall market. Now, before we jump into those two new altcoins that I found, I wanted to do a quick little check. Seds isn't here, so we're going to bring it up. Guys, I want to see some frogs in the chat, in the comments, right? This one here is a fun one that we've been going through and been monitoring. And I just wanted to bring this up, not to give it a shill or anything like that, but to actually just talk to you guys because I had a couple of comments from some people like, Matt, you know, all the stages we're going through really, really fast with the ultimate frog token, Little Pepe. However, at the moment, what is happening in this regard, right, is the fact of the matter is we have had a situation right now where we ran to stage 13, right? And Little Pepe has raised 26 million USD. I own a bit of this, right? But what we see now is the gaps between these stages, so stage 13 to stage 14 is vastly a lot more. So there's 19 stages in Little Pepe with the 19th stage being $52 million raise, right? So you can see now, if you put that into perspective, Little Pepe raised half the amount within stage 1 to stage 12, essentially. From stage 12 to stage 19, which is 7 stages in total, you're looking at essentially another $26 million raise. So it's going to take longer for each of these stages to actually play out. So just be mindful of that at the moment. Don't get caught up in the fact, you know, it's taking too long, it's a token dead, etc. It's going to take longer to get that raise. You know, it might have taken us 3 or 4 months from the time that we actually found out about Little Pepe to raise that 52 million, to raise that 26 million. Ultimately, it may take that another couple of months, another 3 months to get the rest of it. But each stage looks a lot longer because ultimately each stage has probably $4 or $5 million that it needs to raise in itself versus a couple of million like it was previously. So I hope that makes sense to everyone. Still very optimistic about this, guys. You type in Little Pepe on the internet right now, right? It pops up. There is still a shitload of marketing articles going out there at the moment. Coin Central, Bitcoin.com news. There is so much going on in terms of article and PR that I have no reserves or reservations about this token at this current point. Again, this thing could ultimately go to zero and could be the biggest rug coin of all time. But at the moment, things are still going positive and I still am monitoring it really closely. So, guys, I'm going to get into these altcoins now that I've wanted to share with you all. If you are happy and you are liking this stream and you're liking the ideas of where we're going, please give the stream a like. We want to get into this. We want to make sure you guys are getting the most value. And I love catching up with the community on this. And we're meeting so many new people that are coming into the space just from this podcast alone. So we're obviously delivering some sort of good value. That's the ultimate goal here. And guys, just to sort of paint a picture around where Seds is at the moment. Seds is at his lake house. It is a public holiday in Australia at the moment, or for people in Melbourne. We get public holidays or bank holidays over there for sporting events. It's good in that factor. So he's over there chilling, relaxing. We've had a massive week with a lot of stuff happening with the new platform development. So that is looking absolutely amazing. If you haven't, make sure you check it out. That is going phenomenal at the moment. You can check it with the new newsfeed, research articles come into play in chats. But ultimately, guys, hit the like button. I'm going to share with you what these new altcoins are, because these things, and I'm going to put some tasks out there. I want to get Sammy onto this. Sammy is obviously one of our guys who loves to research new tokens. So I wanted to get him to have a look at them. So Sammy, if you are on here, give me a yell. And hopefully you're not just looking at your new Pokemon cards that you did purchase. But I want to show you guys. So you guys should be able to see my screen again. It should be coming across very shortly now. Here we are. The first one I want to show you guys, it is Remitix. RTX it has been classified as, right? This one here has raised nearly $27 million. Now, this ultimately just came out really recently, and it's done a massive raise. Now, I'm trying to understand a little bit more about this, but you can see here, Remitix enables users to pay fiat into any bank account around the world using crypto by just simply connecting your wallet. Welcome to PayFi Revolution. So I've been watching this one at the moment. Their roadmap is building out. At the moment, they're up to stage 3, conclude the pre-sale and prepare for TGE. Again, this will have a lockup. I was looking at, I think it was a 15, let me just bring up my notes here. I've got it here. So actually, I'm going to start from the start. The target raise here is 36 million. So they've already raised 26 million. So another 10 million here isn't too far off the cards. Progress so far, $26 million raised, 671 million tokens in itself. And this thing here, I'm going to do a lot more research on it. But again, what is it? It's a payment network that enables individuals and businesses to pay fiat into any bank account around the world using crypto. So that for me sounds like a pretty good use case in itself. Again, not having to use exchanges and things like that. I don't know fully how this thing is going to play out, but I did just want to cover it. I figured as a community, as a team, we can dive some deep research into this. And if we can, you can see it's powered. It's got a full audit. Go check it out. Again, one that I found yesterday doing some research. I always like to try and find some new tokens. It's been actually coming a little bit of a new hobby of mine. And you can see the pre-sale, 50% allocation, 15% to marketing, exchange listing 12%. The team is 9%. And from what I was reading, and don't quote me on this one, but the team I'm pretty sure has a lockup of 12 months. So it's not as if it's just going to get dumped on the market straight away. But something to take note of as well. Man, I would be happy at the moment, like I'm traveling around Europe at the moment. If I could deposit my crypto straight into my Wise account, that would be fantastic, because I can use some of the earnings that I'm making from my trades, and ultimately this comes through nice and simple and quick into Wise. And like I got to pay some stuff today, that would be helpful as well. So take note of this one, guys. I actually like the use case for this. I don't usually say that much for many tokens within the crypto space, but I am going to look at this one and probably I might just throw Thrive 500 USD into this one and see how it goes, and just something to be mindful that, I've brought some early access. If this thing does do like a 10x or a 20x or something upon release, take into consideration TGE. TGE is the fact that you're not going to get all your tokens up front, but I did read as soon as the raise is completed, they should be accessing your tokens via an airdrop into your wallet within 5 days. So be mindful of that one here. The next big one, if you did enjoy that one, smash the like button again. It gets the content trending, again, puts it out there for everyone. But if you did like this one, guys, the next one I want to show you is TapZ. So this is a relatively new one. Now, I'm just going to refresh this page. I'm not into this one just yet. This one here just got launched, hasn't got a massive raise just yet. But I like the idea of it. That's why I wanted to sort of talk about it. Again, I don't know where this one is going to go. I'll make this very transparent, guys. This is just as much as research of what I do. If I buy into these, it's very much like no different from one of you guys buying into it, because I have no affiliation with these products at all. I just like to find some new projects at the moment. Considering where the crypto market's at overall and the volatility and things, I'm still trading. But ultimately, if I can find some new tokens to sort of get some early access to, I'm happy about it. But you can see here, you can buy this direct. This is stage 1, so still very, very early stages. You can see here 0.0035. Ultimately, I think they're saying that the pre-sale stage will get up to about 1 cent as well, just as an FYI. But you can see here, I wanted to show you guys where the gaming element comes in. So this is skill-based real-time PvP. So guys that enjoy gaming like myself, like I'll personally, and then the night have a little play on my phone, got a couple of games that we all religiously check. I'm sure everyone's got one. But this would be fun. If I could verse a couple of people online and make some extra tokens, that would be a good laugh. So again, pre-sale, you can see 3-month vesting, 25% at TGE. The team gets 0%, 12-month cliff. So team ain't getting any of their tokens for the first 12 months. Liquidity will be locked up and unlocked at TGE as well. Now, I wanted to show you guys here how it gets into a little bit more fun. I want to get into the fun, juicy stuff. Like, imagine first in playing chess against people, you can stake like 1,000 Tapsy tokens, or tap shot and you can put 1,000 or 5 to 1,000 Tapsy tokens. Tapped knots and crosses, right? Or even playing bowling. So that for there, it just makes it a bit of fun. And I figured, you know what? Crypto, financial markets are a serious game. But this year makes it really fun and interesting. So you can see there's still a lot of stuff coming. This is a really new token. If you're going to jump into this, make sure you do a lot of research on it first. Because again, it has just recently came out and something that was brought to my attention. So guys, I'm going to wrap it up there. This has been an awesome podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys got a lot of alpha out of it. If you have, please copy the link once it's up. Send it to some friends. Branch out. Share what we're doing, because ultimately we just want to give you guys as much value as possible. I'll catch you guys next week. Seds and I will be together next week on the call, our first international cross-border podcast. So guys, thank you very much. Have a good weekend, and I'll catch you guys in the Empire platform.